All right, everyone. Thank you for being here today in our session number 3 of our family care ministry. And just remind you one thing. Last week's seminars, we still have handouts available. So if you were not able to come and you'd like to have a handout between sessions or something, come up and I'll give you one. Or if you've lost yours, like to have another one. We have handouts from both sessions. But tonight, we're glad for you to be here today. We're going to pray in just a minute, but we have 2 great sessions. First one, the other talk. It sounds like, okay, what in the world is the other talk? Donnie's going to tell you, but basically, it's having a conversation, very important, necessary conversation with your family, children, etc., about health care, about long-term care, end-of-life issues, getting things straight ahead of time, which is so important. We did this with our children about 3 months ago, and we took a lot of information from the book that you're going to find out about tonight, and we just did it, and it really paid. It was great. They didn't want to talk to us, but because they didn't want to talk about those things, but it worked out great for us. And so Donnie will give you the details in just a minute. Some of you know Donnie O'Fallon, some of you may not. Donnie will just stand up and say, "Hello, everybody." Donnie let me just give a bio on him a little bit because some of you may not know his history. Married 57 years to Marcia. Marcia's standing over here. And they have 3 adult children. Donnie has a Master of Divinity from Southwestern Baptist Seminary in Fort Worth, Bachelor of Arts from, it's Wachita. That's right. I remember now, Wachita Baptist University in Arkansas. Extensive training in conflict resolution, anger management, Bachelor of Arts. I think I mentioned that already. And 10 years service with the Alabama Baptist Convention, working with churches who are plateaued, conflicted, or declining. He has pastored congregations in several states, Texas, Arkansas, Alabama. And most recently, they're in Weatherford, Northside Baptist Church, associate pastor, pastoral care, and boomer pastor. Boomer to us would be the Joy Ministry. And he did that for 17 years before he retired and came our way. So very happy to have him tonight and his expertise in talking about the other talk. So why don't we welcome Donnie O'Fallon.
JB, you're going to pray? You were going to...
You want to pray? Go ahead.
No pressure there, huh?
All of the degrees, you can be prayer.
Okay. Would you bow with me, please? Lord, we thank you for those who've come tonight and for the opportunity to share and encourage with them to help they and their families be prepared in the plan of life for their family. And Lord, we ask you to bless this time, that in all the things that's said and done, Lord, we would bring glory and honor to you, and we would be blessed and be a blessing to others. We ask these things, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. Psalms 24 and verse 1, the scripture says, "The earth is the Lord's and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it." So he has a plan for each of us, and the key thing is that we understand as we learn to walk with him and closer day by day, that we understand his will, that we may walk in it. Like Ezra says, "Lord, I want to know your will, that I may do it, and that I may teach it to others." And so I hope today, as we talk about this other talk, and I'm going to be sharing some things from this book, from the scriptures as well. It's called The Other Talk. As far as I know, this is the only book I've ever bought through AARP. There's some very good information in it. A lot of what I share with you tonight will come from this book and my own experience. Family Care Issues has provided this tonight, and I have found out that family care issues in my own family is we young people have had a program they call True Love Waits. You've heard of it, I'm sure. It's been around for a while. Well, I really do believe that true love doesn't wait in this particular circumstance. It plans, and that's what this is all about, planning. And do you recall when you had a talk with your teens about the talk? The talk. Raise your hand if you did. Raise your hands if you wish you had. And sometimes, we do a drive-by and we walk by and put some information on their bed and hope they read it and say, "Can I answer any questions about that?" That's the way some of us did it. But the fact is that this talk is about the facts of life. We did that at the beginning of their lives. But for us, this is about the other end of our lives. And that's what the talk is all about. It was a bit awkward then. It's going to be a bit awkward now for you as you incorporate some of this information, as JB said, as he's already talked with his kids. We've talked with ours, and I've just let them know if they don't do exactly what we want, that they're not going to get the inheritance at all. So we try to use that as a leverage and hope for the best. But the purpose of what I share today is threefold. Number one, the necessity of the other talk. It is imperative that we have this talk with our families. Secondly, why is it awkward and how to address those issues of awkwardness? How do we get around those? And then finally, how you as a parent can understand the dynamics of such a family meeting as well as how to conduct it. And you were given an outline. We're going to we'll follow that and go by it this evening. But there are four issues that's relevant to what we're doing here tonight and what you will do with your family talk. And that is the financial or financing your uncertain future. Do you know we really, all of us, have that uncertain future as it relates to finance? How do you budget for the unknown? How many of you have your crystal ball and have consulted it? None of us know what tomorrow's going to bring or what next week's going to bring. And the uncertainty as to the length of time that you and I have on this earth. And then, the scripture says it's appointed unto man once to die, and then after that, God will judge us and our families will be in wanting if we haven't done some planning. And selecting the best living arrangements. We'll be talking some about that. Do you stay in your home? Do you go to a nursing facility? Do you have another type plan that you move in with your children? That's never the ideal situation. There are some other ways and other things to talk about there. Getting the medical care that you need. The baby boomers, as JV said, our age, are those of us who have been born from 1946 to 1965, 1964. If you can think of a huge, giant anaconda, and here's a big elephant that anaconda has eaten. As it relates to our culture, that bulge in that snake as it goes through that snake, that's the baby boomer generation. In 1965, there were 77 million of us. There's never been that large a group of people in a culture. And then just a year later, those turning 65 increased by almost 19%. That's over 85,000. And we're told that we're going to live, women are going to be about 85. Men are going to be about 83. That's our life expectancy. And so there's a whole lot of things to be concerned with in that period of time. We're going to talk some about that tonight. And so it's fourthly about taking charge for the rest of your life. And how do we want our kids to do what we want to have accomplished? How many of you have gone through this already with one or both of your husband's parents and your parents as well? How many of you have? Okay. What did you find a little? Did you have all the information that you needed? You did. Good. No? Anybody else? A friend of mine, very dear, close, personal friend of mine, his wife called the church one Sunday morning and said, my husband's having a heart attack. We've taken him to the ER. They're getting him ready to do a heart catheterization to see how much damage has done to the heart, see where blockage is, etc. And and she asked me a couple of questions and said, please pray for her husband. All the while that they were getting him ready to go into the OR, do a heart catheterization and determine damage done, he was telling his daughter, who was tech savvy, she was the nerd of the family. He said, here's my passwords. Here's where you'll find this, and here's where you will find that, and here's where you will find something else. And Mom has information about all of this. So while they were trying to do what they needed to do to get him in the OR, he was trying to give instruction. Can I tell you that my friend called me, and Debbie called me just a few weeks later and said, hey, we need some information and we're going to get this settled now. We're going to get done what needs to be done. She gave me a copy of all that she done. She's a very analytical person, and she has put everything on spreadsheets. She's got numbers of accounts and where they are, whether it's IRA or exactly what it is. And she has put it all down, and it's in a notebook. And so all their kids have to do from this point forward, at that point, was to get the notebook. And that's what they called it, the notebook. And I would encourage you this book's only about $18, and it's well worth what you pay for it. And get you a spiral-bound notebook. It doesn't have to necessarily be a pretty one. Just whatever you can, what is satisfactory with you to put all that information in, and numbers and so forth. You see, the goal is to provide you with some tools and a roadmap of where to go and what to do and when to do it and how to do it. First, I want to let you know that there are some emotional hurdles that you're going to have. Those of you who've already done it, did you find that to be true?
Yep.
Testimony.
Well, as I said, my kids don't want to talk about things like that because
Yeah.
it's morbid to them.
Yeah.
But once we did it, they were glad they did it.
Why is it? What do you think is morbid to them?
Because they don't want to face it.
They don't want to face it.
They don't want to face their own mom and dad's mortality.
Right. Right.
You know, a new statistic says 1 out of every 1 person is going to die. 1 out of 1. Isn't that amazing? That includes us, doesn't it? So we just need to keep that in mind. And secondly, there's some concepts and techniques to help you understand and to prepare for this part of our lives that's coming in the future. There has been that storm that I was talking about, the perfect storm, that giant anaconda with all these people moving through. In addition to all these people being in the culture, there is also certain issues and needs that come along with that for all these people. Now, what are those things you think that all of us are going to need? Well, we're going to need insurance. We're going to need Medicare. Some's going to need Medicaid. Some's going to... What are some other things you can think of?
Cash flow.
I'm sorry?
We're still going to need cash flow.
Got to have some do-re-mi. Yeah. Well, you know, David said, once I was young and now I'm old, and 2 things have I not seen: the seed of God begging bread, nor the righteous of God forsaken. So God has a plan too. We just got to tap into it. What else?
Passwords.
Passwords. Absolutely. How many of you have all your passwords written down and you know exactly what they are? Yeah, we can find them, can't we? All of those things are important. Did you know that in 1968 there were the majority of doctors in the nation were GPs? Did you know that 3 years later there was only 30% of that total number of GPs? There was 30% less. There was specialists. They were about 50% in 1973 of the doctors that were out there. That means they were working less. GPs are earning about a little over $200,000 at that point. I don't know what they earn now, but specialists at that point were earning almost $400,000. They were working 6 days a week. GPs are working much longer. So with all these people, how many of you can call your doctor and say, I need to see you today? Ken does. He's you tell him that. Yeah, Ken has TriStar, so he's good to go. And then not only that, there's a shortage in nurses today. Did you know that? There was a kid, our next door neighbor. She graduated from college. She went to work with the the Harris Methodist downtown in the ER. She was making $105,000 a year as a ER tech or as an ER nurse. I don't know what she's making now. I have no idea. It's none of my business. But her dad was telling me that. He said, I didn't make that when I started. But the point is, there's a shortage of doctors, of hospitals, of nurses, of technicians, and there's still a huge number of people. So that's why one of the things is really important for us to understand, that all of these things are a part of this other talk. And so it's very important for us to understand that there's a crisis in the medical field of supply and demand. What is the law of supply and demand? You know that. You know this. The law of supply and demand. If the demand is small or short or low, where's the prices?
Goes down.
No, it goes up. If there is a low supply, more people needing it, the prices are going to go up. So that's with people living longer, they're outspending, they're outliving their incomes. And so there are some things necessarily that's going to have to happen and that we need to talk to about to our families. Okay, the outline that I've handed you is we're about to disembark on the use of that. And first of all, you need to learn to respond positively, not to react. And the advantage or real important part of this is we need to empower our families to be able to know what to do, when, where, and how to do it. Since we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know how long we're going to live, we don't know what issues are going to happen to us. 2 years ago when I had COVID, I have had some things happen to me. I've been in good health all my life. Never had any issues whatsoever. And I, 2.5 years ago when I had COVID, 1 month, the next month I had COVID pneumonia. I almost died, like some of you perhaps, or your family members. And they told me I need to go to Harris downtown, check myself in. They're going to put me in a ward and leave me there. And I couldn't walk outside my room. I didn't want to walk for one thing. But they said, well, if you don't, I said, if I don't do that, what's going to happen to me? They said, well, you may die. You really may die. And I said, well, if I don't die, I'll die at home. Give me what medicine I need, a shot or whatever I need, and I'm going home. And that's what I did. But you know, since that time, I've been diagnosed with a heart issue. Since that time, I've been diagnosed with a little bit of a respiratory issue. My diabetes, I asked God to make me sweet in my old age, and He did. And I'm trying to wade through all of these things. So I don't know what's ahead for me. Marcia walks 5 miles a day, takes 2 medications, and she's good to go. She's just like that little ever-ready battery bunny, just keeps going and going and going. So I have the problems. She doesn't seem to have that. Uncertain issues, decisions we have to make. So there needs to be some contingency plans, and that's part of what the last talk or the other talk's all about. People do not want to face the inevitable, their own mortality, that transformation of dealing with all of these things, all these problems, and you could tell me something about your health and your problems and what that's going to take. We don't have a crystal ball to know what that's going to take. We don't know how long we're going to be able to live alone, or whether we're going to have to go to an assisted living facility or a nursing facility because we need particular nursing skills and nursing care. We need a way to be able to navigate through some of this. I talked with a gentleman, or with a family of an older gentleman just a short time ago, and he was facing bankruptcy because of issues that he was having financially, and he wound up the family decided that they were going to sell the house and get a reverse mortgage, and that's potentially part of a solution. But he, nonetheless, the skilled care that he needed was going to require a lot more money than he had. And can I tell you that Medicare doesn't take care of those kinds of things? Have you found that out yet? This means yes. No. There are certain things that Medicare does not do. But that transformation of aging, that will come. And then we want to maintain an existing relationship with our kids. For those of you who've already gone through this, what did you find when you, if you've gone through this, what did you find your kids most resistant to? JB?
Well, when I got to the end of our notebook that we gave them as a section, our funerals, which we planned totally, including the service and all, they didn't want to talk about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably the hardest part for us.
Okay. In between now and that part of it, the end of our life, there are several things that might possibly happen to us. There's the financial aspect of this. There is finding out that our stamina is not nearly as much as what it used to be. Isn't that right, Brother Ken? Yeah. I get up and go, done got up and went. And in the morning, I get up and there's that snap, crackle, and pop, like the cereal. And what, I don't know about you there, but I found out that what doesn't hurt doesn't work. And we, each one, are coming to that place. Sometimes we need trifocals. Some of us need bifocals. And we are gradually, slowly falling apart. And with that, there is, we're passing on certain responsibilities we're going to be to our kids. And there's going to be what's called a role reversal. That's going to be a problem for some of them. And we can help to soften that with this other talk. There are some inevitables. There's some ground rules to be learned. There's some conversations that need to be had. And I have a list of a lot of the documents that almost every one of us are going to need. I did not provide that to you or with you for you tonight. But if you'd like to have it, I'll have a notebook over here, and you can put your name and phone number and email address, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of it. Brother JB asked me to provide that for us. So there's a great value to stepping up and getting started with this. And what we're going to find out is we'll be glad we did when we do. After you get past that, it's like Brother JB experienced with his kids. They were glad. They didn't want to talk about it, but they were glad they did after they did. Because it takes all the emotional part of this out of the picture. What happens emotionally to us when all of a sudden a moment of truth, this truth, a stroke, a heart attack, some other malady or issue, what happens to us emotionally?
We have a knee-jerk reaction to a lot of things without thinking things out.
Yeah, we don't have time. We have to act immediately. But when that's planned out, that takes part of the emotion out of it. And my sisters, I have 4 sisters younger than me, and as Marcia, would you hand me a copy of the outline that we handed out to everybody? I got one right here. Thank you. No, not this one. That has the answers on it.
Oh, well, I don't have that one.
The one you handed out, please. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, but I had one that had the answers on it, and that's. I've got the answers on this sheet, but I had the answer. Yeah, no, that's okay. I got it. Thank you.
Just give us a chance, we'll fill it in.
Okay. There is there's an illustration that was very pertinent in the book that talked about his mom had his dad had MS, and his mom had Alzheimer's, and they found that out within a period of just a few months together. His dad lost his mobility. Mom began losing some portions of her cognitive abilities and so forth. And so it began to affect all the assets that they had, the finances. They had tried to talk and have a meeting of three siblings to make sure that mom and dad had all that they needed. Mom and dad hadn't talked about anything, and they began to, their assets began to dwindle. They came home to see them one day, and dad had, in all of his cognitiveness, they discovered that he had traded in the van, and he thought mama needed a Cadillac. And so there was a Cadillac in the driveway. So it was at that point that they realized that they had to do something, that they had to get involved in every part of their business. And so as a result, they began to discuss among themselves. So enjoy that part of, let me see where we are on this outline. I'm sorry. I forgot my page here. What are some of the potential negative consequences of not having the talk? Well, number one, it does hurt relationships. It does stifle relationships. And the benefits of those things that we can discuss. By the way, there are 27 documents, and that's the other part that I will give to you. There are 27 documents that every one of us need as we go through and talk about these things. There is the role reversal, and that's quite an important part. We want to maintain our existing relationships. Even though there are going to be, and that's about the fourth one down, we want to maintain our existing relationship. Role reversals are going to begin to occur. Mom and dad, we're going to have to begin to take over. Our kids are going to have to be more involved. What's the potential negative consequences of this? Negative consequences of not having one. Well, family battles are going to occur. Casualties along the way are going to happen. There's going to be financial issues. There's going to be asset issues. There are going to be ineffective issues. There's emotionally charged conversations that's going to be affected. And then casualties are going to start dropping off by the way as you go down that road. Most families, there is one or two individuals that can be relied on. Sean, I think you told me that you and your family, dealing with your parents' issues, y'all were pretty collaborative.
We were. I was the strong one.
Okay.
That I could make decisions, but my sister was right there with me.
Okay. Helping you make those decisions. You know, when we were going through this with my parents, I have 4 sisters, and every one of those sisters tend to make emotional decisions. What happens when we get all wound up with emotions and trying to make decisions? Usually it's a wrong decision. and it's a costly decision. It's costly in relationships as well. There are some casualties in relationships after that. Fragmentation of families is another part. Families do become fragmented. Families work when we're collaborative. We are able to see that families can work together. It does touch and impact the next generations. It does impact the next generations. Enjoy the benefit of family cooperation. Any testimony of a positive kind of thing where you have had with your family in dealing with some of these issues? Yes, Linda.
Ken's mom and dad, they had everything laid out completely, and we hardly didn't have to do
It just takes away from all of the issues.
My mom and my dad, no.
The family cooperation, it preserves, yes,
I was just gonna say, we went to, one of the people that is coming, I guess, the Audettes, Michelle.
yes, they'll be coming the last sessions.
Yeah, we went to her husband, actually, the one who, and he helped my sister and I get it all planned out so that as it went through, it was all taken care of, and it just made it, like Linda was saying, made it very easy for us.
Everything systematically fell in place because you had dealt with that. Setting the stage for the other talk, begin by leaving some ideas, having some ideas, setting the stage for the other talk. And we start with our own emotional, how we feel about this. We're on that first page, it says setting the stage for the other talk. Begin with the idea of leaving a legacy for your family. Leaving a legacy for your family. We have to be concerned about the role reversal. There's the mental state of us. We need to leave some clues for our family as we talk to them about that. What are some cues and clues for them that we need to meet, that we need to leave for them in order for them to help us in the time in the future ahead? What are some of those clues? What are some of those things? There needs to be account numbers. We said a moment ago. Some of you said. All of the account number, all the passwords, all of the IRAs and their statements and where they are. There, as it comes, yeah, Greg.
Signature cards at the bank where
Yeah.
they can have access to your account.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
it is.
If they need cash quick, if something was to happen to both of us on a vacation trip, they can get
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. We did, that's one of the things we did. But also, part of the other talk is not, is for the other spouse, because if, for example, if I were to pass away, Irma, I do all the financial stuff in our family, and so she has the book, she knows exactly when the bills can be paid. It's all right there, what to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, what she needs to do. And that's good. It takes the worry out of it. My son can come in and say, okay, here's what we're supposed to do, and he can up and get that done. That can work with either spouse, though. Right, so the other talk is not just for the children, it's for the
That's right.
parents also. The spouse of the one who's at.
And you need to be on the same page with that.
All your will, your documents and stuff right there, and go through with your kids totally in detail. where there's no questions, they understand exactly what's going to happen and why.
I was gonna say, just the opposite of what JB said. When my father passed away, my mother was totally, she had never done any of the finances, had no idea what a checkbook was, how to balance a checkbook. She didn't even know how to set the alarm clock for years, for a long time, till I finally found it. Was the clock was set on PM instead of AM, and she was getting up at the right time, but it was PM instead of AM. But my dad did all the finances. Now we've got it. My mother's 95 years old, so we're, this is something that we need very desperately. And as far as the finances and everything, we've got all that set up now. I have a brother and two sisters, and each of us have a task that we're taking care of,
And ideally, if you can do that, if there can be that kind of cooperation and collaboration within the family, that's ideal. That's the best way to do it.
She has her funeral written out,
Yeah.
just the way she wants it, and the preacher's gonna have to read it and do exactly what it says. This is what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
And that can be changed.
Yeah.
It can change from day to day, because for some reason she thought about, being cremated at one time. She's got a whole burial paid for and everything, but she decided she wanted to do a cremation instead of the burial. So she was wanting us to change everything. So we sat her down and said, let's talk about this. Let's, think it out. And she's gone back to the typical burial plan now.
We think she's gonna outlive us, so.
Yeah.
That's probably true. But I got two sisters that absolutely will not talk about this at all.
Okay.
But
Okay.
they are doing the financial part of it,
Yeah. This is not one and done. This requires a visitation at least once a year because things change, health changes, finances change. A lot of other dimensions about this does change. And so it's important to establish that frame of reference. The scripture says it's to be done decently and in order to keep down the chaos and confusion. We want to respect one another, our siblings. That was hard for me, personal testimony. It was hard for me because my sisters, all they do is make emotional decisions. And it always turns out bad. Always has. And so to establish this frame of reference is so vitally important. If you want to have a good outcome, to avoid panic, and when and where, how do we have these discussions? Plan and set a time that is convenient. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. And number 4 there is who's going to take charge and set the tone for this to make things comfortable. Provide some guidelines and an atmosphere. We don't need to talk down to one another. That's on the back side of your page there. Under 4, adopt a set a comfortable tone. Don't do like my friend who was trying to hurry and make sure that his daughter knew all the passwords and information of where all their documents were and so forth. To be able to do that, there is information, and it needs to be informative. You've planned this out. You've had some time to talk about it. You've put this down in your notebook about what you need to do. There is to be done lovingly and decently and in order for it to be productive. And we need to empower one another in doing what needs to be done to accomplish for the good of our kids and our family. So what are some action points? Some of the documents that you have mentioned, that we've already mentioned. Social Security, IRAs, savings account, annuities, pensions, health care or long-term care. A friend of my best friend of 10 years was prayer partners with, died about 2 years ago. And I was going through his wife's documents of his, and I had sat down to go over that. And we found a long-term care policy that she didn't know she had, that he had. And that has helped her financially immensely. And so having all those documents in one place and knowing where those are vital. Don't procrastinate because you are uncertain. Your finances, your uncertain future, or financing your uncertain future. None of us, as I said, believe none of us have a crystal ball. We need to know all of those, where all those documents and so forth are. And also talk about and plan for what ifs. What ifs. On the reverse page. Why is the what ifs, do you think? Why do you think that's important?
Because we don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
You know, there's if there is a history of dementia in your family and your spouse, you need to know that. What's the contingency plan if dementia happens?
It's pretty tough.
I'm sorry?
It's pretty tough.
It's pretty common. And, you know, the dementia is the umbrella of problems here. Everything else under it, Alzheimer's and the other frontal lobe dementia and all of those other issues related to dementia, is only a part of it. And the what ifs need to be talked about and thought about. Selecting the best living arrangements. What if you have to live outside your home, move out of your home, and you have to go into an assisted living facility, or you have to go into a nursing home or skilled nursing home care? How is that going to be financed if you don't have an IRA or savings account or annuities or pensions? What are some options there? That needs to be discussed with your family. You need to let them know some triggers or some cues or clues that would help them to know what next to do. Some people, as I said a moment ago, some people go into a second mortgage with their home. Some people just want to sell their home, but what happens to the remaining spouse that's there? That has to be thought through. And they need a place to go. They still need assets to live and so forth. There was a little lady in my church when I was in seminary. I pastored a little out of this world place called Venus, Texas. And Miss May was 93 years old and had gone to, she could no longer live in her home. So she was in an assisted living facility, our nursing, skilled nursing care. But she was up and down the hallways, and I went up to see her one day and I said, "What are you doing out of your room and up and down?" She said, "Oh, I'm just ministering to these old people." And somebody in one of the people, she was going back to her room, and there was a little tussle going on in there, and somebody had gotten in the wrong bed. And so that created quite a disturbance. But for the one who goes into the nursing home, the one that remains, there needs to be some provision there at home. Where do you find that provision of the one who remains home? Well, a good person or someone that you could talk to is that person who is that we want a kind of person that we have, a certified financial planner from last week. That's one place to look. It may be a sale of property. It may be something else, but and then select the best living arrangements. But you need to talk about those. I think the best thing most people want to do is stay in their home as long as they can. And then when that happens, if they have to move out of their home, home health can come in and help. And we're going to have someone who talks about home health here in just a couple of weeks, and some information about that. Modifying your home to accommodate the needs that you have. Yes, ma'am.
When my husband got sick, we got an elder care attorney who laid out all of this for us to know exactly what to do.
Yes.
And we had to put him in a nursing home because I couldn't take care of him anymore. And he was in that nursing home for 4 years. Well, in order to get in there, my daughter had to pay $4,000 until that elder care attorney got us on Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, we're already on Medicare.
Yes, ma'am.
But not on Medicaid.
Right.
And after they did that, we never had to pay another penny.
Right.
And he was in there 4 years before he passed.
And another option, if possible, is that they remain in the home and home health would come and help to do all the things that are needed or necessary. But that's just one option that can be done. None of us, I don't think, want to live with our children. That's not an ideal situation. Although, sometimes I think payback. That would be good. Or some kind of facility other than your home. Getting appropriate medical care, select the best arrangements, and getting appropriate medical care. And we know some of the things that we've already talked about there. Who will take charge of those decisions? Who's going to write the checks? Which one of your kids is probably going to be the best one? Brother JB said it was going to be his son who has primary role or responsibility. He's an attorney, and so there's some things that he's going to delegate to him. And then there are some things that are going to also happen with their daughter, being able to delegate those responsibilities. So getting the appropriate medical care. And who will take charge of the decisions for you. Establish those guidelines. Talk about what you want to have done. When I sat down with my mother and dad, I asked them, what exactly is it that you want to have done? And we looked at what their needs were. My mom wanted to be buried. My dad wanted to be cremated. So in their final arrangements. I think something else that's important is to understand certain documents that you need to have established for any medical treatment. How many of you have advanced planning? You have advanced planning? How many of you have a DNR? Do not resuscitate. What are the provisions of that? You need to have that. One lady had been moved from the nursing home. She had a heart attack and was brought to the nursing home for recovery care. She had a heart attack in the nursing home, but the DNR had not been sent back from the hospital. She had another heart attack in the nursing home. They sent her back to the hospital without a DNR. They resuscitated her. She had already said, I do not want to be resuscitated. And so there was mass confusion. A lawsuit emanated from that on behalf of her family because she was kept alive for 3.5 months and knew absolutely nothing nor anyone. And so having those documents are imperative. The DNR, the do not resuscitate. What about hospice? Have you thought about that in the event that that was necessary and needed? That's one of those things that you need to talk about in this. How do you leave a legacy? How do you leave a legacy? To be able to tell your story, your personal testimony. It may be on a tape. It may be on your phone. It may be another means of media. I don't know about y'all. We've got a big box of pictures. Big box. I understand now you can get a little TV, a little screen that rotates, and you can use Wi-Fi to upload your pictures onto it, or your information that you want to have on that. Doesn't cost very much, I understand. My wife says we're going to get one of those. So we need to have our family pictures and our homes and our cars. I want my kids to know I had a 65 2+2 fastback Mustang. And it was red. And yeah.
You mentioned about the video thing. We did that for my dad, and it showed pictures as, people coming in and everything, and it didn't cost that.
Yeah. But you're leaving something for the next generation. You don't want your legacy to die with you. You want to pass on your faith. You want to pass on the encouragement, your dreams, your visions for them, as well, your family history, your genealogy. Leave the notebook, leave a video, leave an audio recording, leave recipes. We had a lady that I conducted her funeral service for her, and I'd eaten with her in her home and her husband many times, and she was an excellent cook. And I asked the family, I said, okay, who gets the cookbook? They always bragged about her cooking. And so those kinds of things, the legacy, where do you want to be your final resting place? That needs to be clearly given and some instructions there. Again, do you want to be buried? Do you want to have a cremation? Or exactly what is it that you'd like to have done as your final things, information that you want to know? I would encourage you to take this book, to get a copy of this book. It's not very much. It's very helpful. And I don't know what I did with my transition from my notes to over here, so I apologize for a little bit of perhaps loss of words in helping you follow this tonight. But do you have any questions? Do you have any comments that you'd like to make? Yes.
You mentioned DNR. Would you happen to know if that's a universal, or does that apply universally to any of your caregivers, or is that just facility or provider?
It is somewhat universal, but the wording of that is unique to each state. My parents were in Arkansas, and so a DNR from Texas wouldn't work because I got a DNR and took it there, and they said, no, we need to have the verbiage for the state of Arkansas. So, yeah, okay.
So I've also been told to tape it on the back of your bedroom door.
Yeah. Yeah. So all you have to do is reach back there and get it. It's very important to have.
So maybe one or two other comments, Don. I've had to prepare something, what I call an affairs document, and it's got all the things you've been talking about. But it's also got things like enough information about your subscriptions, auto pay your utilities, your trash directly through the bank. But don't forget about those little incidentals, right? The Netflix account.
Mm-hmm.
That will just keep dinging you and dinging you and dinging you. One of the big ones in my book was do not write something in the will that contradicts something that you have over here called a beneficiary.
Mm-hmm.
Some account.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that just opens up a big Pandora box.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Donnie, one of the things, I think you kind of covered this, but just to make sure people understand, make sure that you do your homework before you have your talk with your kids. Have all your documents totally ready to go. If you have like ours, which is put, I did it on my own computer so I can update it as we go. But Jennifer and Bryce both have a 3-ring binder with all the documents in there, and then all the instructions, everything. But it took a long time to get all that together. You have to prepare ahead of time, and it takes time and effort to do that, because once you present it to your kids, you want to make it factual and complete and correct. So they don't have to go to different places to find stuff. Everything's in one spot. So a lot of preparation before you have your meeting with your kids. Then, when you're ready, present it to them.
This is not going to happen in a month.
No.
And another thing is, it starts with us. A lot of us don't even have a will in Christ, which is huge. So it starts with the individual first, and then you think about your family.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Donnie, Greg mentioned the signature card at the bank earlier. I was told a couple of years ago that and it may have changed, but it's not just having somebody as a co-signer on your account. You have to specify they're a owner of that account.
Yes.
If
Well,
they're just a signature, it still has to go through probate and stuff. But if
you
they
can-
own it,
Yeah, exactly. You get a signature also on what's called POD, paid upon death.
We did that. We did before we had.
because until I was told that, I had no idea.
And then there's another, that way your family can go to the bank and be able to get monies. I know there was one incident that I was asked to conduct a funeral, but because there was no POD, the only money to pay the funeral home was in the bank, and they couldn't access it. The other one is TOD, transfer on death. It goes automatically where you wish it to go. So POD and TOD at the bank
I
is,
think they'll cover that when the last two sessions we're going to have.
yeah,
When all debts come, I think they'll cover those documents.
yes. Any other question or comment?
I got one more.
Yes, sir.
You walk,
I think something else that's important is to understand certain documents that you need to have established for any medical treatment. How many of you have advanced planning? You have advanced planning? How many of you have a DNR? Do not resuscitate. What are the provisions of that? You need to have that. One lady had been moved from the nursing home. She had a heart attack and was brought to the nursing home for recovery care. She had a heart attack in the nursing home, but the DNR had not been sent back from the hospital. She had another heart attack in the nursing home. They sent her back to the hospital without a DNR. They resuscitated her. She had already said, I do not want to be resuscitated. And so there was mass confusion. A lawsuit emanated from that on behalf of her family because she was kept alive for 3.5 months and knew absolutely nothing nor anyone. And so having those documents are imperative. The DNR, the do not resuscitate. What about hospice? Have you thought about that in the event that that was necessary and needed? That's one of those things that you need to talk about in this. How do you leave a legacy? How do you leave a legacy? To be able to tell your story, your personal testimony. It may be on a tape. It may be on your phone. It may be another means of media. I don't know about y'all. We've got a big box of pictures. Big box. I understand now you can get a little TV, a little screen that rotates, and you can use Wi-Fi to upload your pictures onto it, or your information that you want to have on that. Doesn't cost very much, I understand. My wife says we're going to get one of those. So we need to have our family pictures and our homes and our cars. I want my kids to know I had a 65 2+2 fastback Mustang. And it was red. And yeah.
You mentioned about the video thing. We did that for my dad, and it showed pictures as people coming in and everything, and it didn't cost that.
Yeah. But you're leaving something for the next generation. You don't want your legacy to die with you. You want to pass on your faith. You want to pass on the encouragement, your dreams, your visions for them, as well, your family history, your genealogy. Leave the notebook, leave a video, leave an audio recording, leave recipes. We had a lady that I conducted her funeral service for her, and I'd eaten with her in her home and her husband many times, and she was an excellent cook. And I asked the family, I said, okay, who gets the cookbook? They always bragged about her cooking. And so those kinds of things, the legacy, where do you want to be your final resting place? That needs to be clearly given and some instructions there. Again, do you want to be buried? Do you want to have a cremation? Or exactly what is it that you'd like to have done as your final things, information that you want to know? I would encourage you to take this book to get a copy of this book. It's not very much. It's very helpful. And I don't know what I did with my transition from my notes to over here, so I apologize for a little bit of perhaps loss of words in helping you follow this tonight. But do you have any questions? Do you have any comments that you'd like to make? Yes.
You mentioned DNR. Would you happen to know if that's a universal, or does that apply universally to any of your caregivers, or is that just facility or provider?
It is somewhat universal, but the wording of that is unique to each state. My parents were in Arkansas, and so a DNR from Texas wouldn't work because I got a DNR and took it there, and they said, no, we need to have the word verbiage for the state of Arkansas. So, yeah, okay.
So I've also been told to tape it on the back of your bedroom door.
Yeah. Yeah. So all you have to do is reach back there and get it. It's very important to have.
So maybe one or two other comments, Don. I've had to prepare something, what I call an affairs document, and it's got all the things you've been talking about. But it's also got things like enough information about your subscriptions, auto pay your utilities, your trash directly through the bank. But don't forget about those little incidentals, right? The Netflix account.
Mm-hmm.
That will just keep dinging you and dinging you and dinging you. One of the big ones in my book was do not write something in the will that contradicts something that you have over here called a beneficiary for some account. Because then that just opens up a big Pandora box.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Donnie, one of the things, I think you kind of covered this, but just to make sure people understand, make sure that you do your homework before you have your talk with your kids. Have all your documents totally ready to go. If you have like ours, which is put, I did it on my own computer, so I can update it as we go. But Jennifer and Bryce both have a 3-ring binder with all the documents in there, and then all the instructions, everything. But it took a long time to get all that together. You have to prepare ahead of time, and it takes time and effort to do that, because once you present it to your kids, you want to make sure it's factual and complete and correct. So they don't have to go to different places to find stuff. Everything's in one spot. So a lot of preparation before you have your meeting with your kids. Then, when you're ready, present it to them, and
This is not going to happen in a month.
no.
And another thing is, it starts with us. A lot of us don't even have a will in Christ, which is huge. So it starts with the individual first, and then you think about your family.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Donnie, Greg mentioned the signature card at the bank earlier. I was told a couple of years ago that and it may have changed, but it's not just having somebody as a co-signer on your account. You have to specify they're a owner of that account.
Yes.
If
Well,
they're just a signature, then it still has to go through probate. But if
You
they
can-
own it,
Yeah, exactly. You get a signature also on what's called POD, paid upon death.
And we did that. Things we did before we had.
Because until I was told that, I had no idea.
And then there's another, that way your family can go to the bank and be able to get monies. I know there was one incident that I was asked to conduct a funeral, but because there was no POD, the only money to pay the funeral home was in the bank, and they couldn't access it. The other one is TOD, transfer on death. It goes automatically where you wish it to go. So POD and TOD at the bank
I
is,
think they'll cover that. The the last two sessions we're gonna have,
Yeah.
when all vets come, I think they'll cover those documents.
Yes. Any other question or comment?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
You walk through my mother's house and turn over a lamp or turn over anything, and on the bottom of the lamp or something, she's got, this belongs to Roger, this belongs to Dina, this belongs to whoever. It's kind of funny right now, but, you know, I don't know how that'll work out in the end, but
You know what I found with our kids, we were getting ready to move, downsize from Weatherford to here. And I said, okay, anything y'all want, you go ahead and take. They didn't want anything. They said, we don't want your old stuff. I said, okay, I'll just write you out of the will too, so that's all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation and participation tonight. And we're about to get ready here in just a minute to have our second.
About 5 minutes or so, at 6 o'clock, Randy's gonna be talking about scams and ideas. The next session, if you can.
to my mother's house and turn over a lamp or turn over anything, and on the bottom of the lamp or something, she's got, this belongs to Roger, this belongs to Dina, this belongs to whoever. It's kind of funny right now, but, you know, I don't know how that'll work out in the end, but.
You know what I found with our kids, we were getting ready to move, downsize from Weatherford to here. And I said, okay, anything y'all want, you go ahead and take. They didn't want anything. They said, we don't want your old stuff. I said, okay, I'll just write you out of the will too, so that's all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation and participation tonight. And we're about to get ready here in just a minute to have our second.
About 5 minutes or so, at 6 o'clock, Randy's going to be talking about scams and ideas.